open. Creativity and strategy make it all happen. You ain't gotta sell, just market with flair. Put your plan on the map and leave them in despair. Smooth as jazz notes, the deals get close. Ideas flowing like rivers, watch them explode. Through each campaign we paint with precision. No need for selling, just spark the vision. Creativity reigns, we master the plan. From concept to launch, we make the stand. Strategies tight, rhythm in check. Welcome to the Post, where we break the net.
Good fan, welcome to the Post of Marketing, your go-to space where we break down marketing trends, business strategies, and brand moves that are changing the game. I'm your host, Coach LJ, and you already know you don't have to know how to sell, but you do have to know how to market. And today on Marketing Monday, we dive into something big. Now imagine the White House, but instead of traditional media outlets covering the news, you have podcasters, YouTubers, and digital creators stepping in. From the White House to your house. Now, embracing new media can transform your marketing strategy is the conversation we need to have today. Now, let me ask you, have you ever felt that mainstream media controls the narrative too much? Have you noticed how independent voices, content creators, and influencers shape conversations more than traditional journalists? More importantly, what does this mean for us and our brand? Well, fam, the game is changing. The White House is opening up the doors for digital creators to cover politics in real time, shifting away from the old school media gatekeepers. Whether you agree with it or not, this is a marketing masterclass in action. It's plant the seeds for the next presidential election while showing businesses how to dominate through new media. Do you know how this applies to you? How can you leverage new media platforms like podcasts, YouTube, and independent media for your brand? What lessons can we take from this White House move to market our business effectively? And most importantly, how do we stay ahead before the shift leaves us behind? Let's talk about it. This isn't just a political move, it's a media shift affecting every industry. If the White House sees the power of independent voices, influencers, and content creators, what's stopping you from using the same strategy? We explain everything from embracing new media to how you can use emerging platforms to build your brand, create influence, and get your message to the masses. So, okay, family, let's discuss how new media changes the game and what it means for you and your brand. How can embracing new media platforms revolutionize your brand's reach? Do you ever feel like traditional media isn't telling the whole story? Or maybe you notice that some voices get amplified while others get ignored. That's because traditional media has gatekeepers deciding what gets covered, who gets airtime, and what dominates the space. But guess what? That's changing. Gatekeepers control the narrative. Major networks and traditional journalists have the power to decide what's newsworthy for decades. If you weren't on TV, in the newspaper, or on mainstream radio, your voice didn't have reach. This has made it difficult for fresh perspectives, independent thinkers, and diverse voices to break through. But now the digital landscape is shifting. The White House just made a game changing move. Recently, the Trump administration announced that podcasters, YouTubers, and independent digital creators can apply for media credentials to cover the White House. Man, that's amazing. Tell me in the comments, are you going to take advantage of it? Tell me in the comments. Let me know in the comments, are you going to take advantage of this opportunity? Now, think about that for a second. Are you going to take advantage of the opportunity? Because for years, traditional press conferences and White House coverage were dominated by big name outlets, CNN, Fox News, the New York Times, and others. But now, woo, They are acknowledging that digital creators and independent voices have real influence. What's the takeaway here? This move isn't just about politics. It's a marketing masterclass demonstrating how audiences consume content today. Most audiences is consuming content through YouTube, podcasts, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, social media, X, TikTok, Facebook, Instagram, all these different social media. That's how people are consuming digital content today. People are getting their news on YouTube and X and TikTok rather than going to the TV and watching TV and watching the news on the TV. So, how new media is winning over younger audiences? Who even watches cable news anymore? Studies show that Gen Z and millennials get most of their news from social media, podcasts, and YouTube, not traditional TV. The White House knows that younger voters are consuming content differently. They leveraging X, TikTok, YouTube, and Instagram influencers to reach those audiences where they already are. And most importantly, they bypassing mainstream media gatekeepers and talking directly to their audiences. Now, let's flip this back to you. How to implement this shift to new media in your marketing. If the White House is embracing new media to influence popular perception, what's stopping you from using the same playbook for your brand? Here's how we can apply this strategy to our marketing. Identify where your audience consumes content. Are they scrolling on TikTok, watching long form content on YouTube, or listening to podcasts? You can find them where they are. Own your platform and build community. Traditional media controls assets, but you control the narrative on social media. Start a podcast, YouTube channel, or online community where you are the thought leader. Leverage influencer and collab marketing, like political campaigns. Partner with social media personalities. You can collaborate with industry influencers to expand your reach. The bottom line, new media isn't coming. It's already here. You're falling behind if you're still relying on old school marketing strategies. So what's next? Now that we discussed how new media is reshaping the game, let's discuss something just as crucial, inclusivity. How to expand your reach by amplifying diverse voices. I know you heard it before, niche down. The marketing gurus love to say it. Don't get me wrong, niching down is essential. But here's the catch. If you want to build a lasting, scalable brand, you can't afford to market to just one type of audience. Yes, focus on a niche, but market for different audiences. Let's keep it real. In politics, business, and entertainment, exclusivity is no longer an option. It's a necessity. But here's the problem. Too many brands rely on the same voices, perspectives, and outdated marketing playbook. They focus so hard on their one niche that they ignore the bigger picture. And guess what? That's a missed opportunity. Think about it. If the White House is shifting its marketing approach to reach new audience, why wouldn't you? The brands that win are the ones that understand how to tell their message without limiting their reach. So let me ask you, are you marketing in a way that speaks to diverse audiences? Or are you boxing yourself in? Are you using multiple platforms to expand your reach? Or are you stuck in one lane? That's a question to think about. I mean, I think that's a good question to begin to start thinking about. Time to shift gears because staying in one lane is how brands get left behind. Let's learn how to embrace new media and leverage emerging platforms to build a strong, adaptable brand. The danger of a narrow audience. while marketing to different audiences is key. If you only market to a specific demographic, you eliminate your reach and, more importantly, alienating potential customers. Think about it. Representation matters. People want to see themselves in the brands they support, the media they consume, and the conversations that impact their lives. When you exclude diverse voices, you essentially say, this isn't for you. And in 2025, that's a surefire way to lose revenue. The White House decision to bring podcasters, YouTubers, and independent media creators into the conversation is a power move. And what do content creators have? They have community, they have influence, and they have authenticity. And how the White House is tapping into diverse voices by inviting various content creators, not just mainstream journalists. The White House says, we recognize that traditional media no longer controls the conversation. This moves fresh perspectives, new narratives, and direct access to community. Think about it. If you're a business owner, an entrepreneur, a content creator, what lessons can you take from this? You can't just speak to the same people in the same way and expect growth. You have to meet your audience where they are. And that means embracing diverse voices and platforms. How brands are winning with exclusivity. Could you take a look at Nike? Their campaigns don't just feature one type of athlete. They highlight women, people of color, the disabled athletes, and underrepresented communities. And why? Because people want to see themselves represented. Now take Fenty Beauty. Rihanna didn't just drop another makeup line. She launched a fully exclusive brand that ensures every skin tone have a place in the beauty industry. Fenty changed the beauty industry forever, forcing other brands to step up their exclusivity game. So how can you implement this strategy in your marketing? Collaborate with influencers from different backgrounds. Work with creators, podcasters, and digital voices who represent different communities. They bring authenticity and trust to your brand. Diversify your messaging. Ensure your content speaks to a brand audience without feeling forced. Engage directly with unrepresented communities. Don't just market to diverse audiences. Listen to them. Engage in conversations. Highlight their stories and involve them in your campaign. The brands that embrace inclusivity win. The ones that don't, they get left behind. Now, let's take it a step further because it's not just about being exclusive. It's about building absolute trust with your audience. Next up, authentic engagement. How to build trust with your audience. Ask yourself, how can authentic engagement enhance my brand's credibility? Audiences are increasingly skeptical of traditional advertising and prefer genuine, meaningful connections. Imagine a small YouTube channel that grew from 100 subscribers to tens of thousands, not because of flashy ads, but because the creator consistently responded to comments, asked for audience input, and shared personal behind the scenes content. I'm telling you, that's a game changer. Never neglect from responding to to the audiences. Never neglect it. That's feedback. Never neglect it because sometimes we could get too big and so big and we like, you know what, I don't have to respond anymore. You know what, I don't have to get the input anymore. You should always look for input, feedback, responding to them. This is how you keep them engaged because you don't want the people to feel like you're just too big for them. So you always want to be active in your community. Always want to engage within your community. It's very important. So even as you grow bigger and bigger and bigger, continue to consistently respond to comments, ask for audience input, and share personal behind the scenes content. Never forget that. That those points right there is gold. You never want to forget that as you grow, as you get to the tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands, millions of subscribers. Never forget that point. Never forget that. That authentic interaction turns casual viewers into loyal supporters. The administration tap into this principle by connecting with trusted community voices who regularly engage with their audience. When these creators discuss new initiatives, people listen, not just because of the message, but because they trusted the person who delivered it. One way to implement authentic engagement in your marketing strategy is to focus on honest conversations. Open up the dialogue by hosting interactive Q&A sessions, sharing genuine behind-the-scenes moments, and actively responding to audience feedback. By showing a human side to your brand, you build a foundation of trust that's hard to shake. Next, let's explore how partnering with influencers can take that trust and amplify your message to a broader audience. In a crowded marketplace, your voice alone may not be enough to rise above the noise. Think of a niche podcast host who build their reputation on transparency and deep knowledge in a particular field. When they back a product or an idea, their loyal listeners paid attention, not because of paid sponsorship, but because that host word carries weight. The administration recognized this and worked with influencers who already has an entrusted audience. As a result, the message reached people who might have ignored a traditional ad campaign. Partnering with an influencer known for their integrity allowed the message to reach an audience that trusts the message. Their recommendation wasn't seen as marketing, but as a value opinion. The key is to identify influencers whose values align with yours. Approach them with a genuine collaboration offer, not just a transactional deal. Equip them with stories and data that resonate with their audience and allow them to express themselves authentically. This way, their endorsement becomes a natural extension of your brand message. How can staying ahead of media trends keep your brand relevant? The way people consume media is constantly evolving. Our message might get lost if we don't pay attention and adapt. For example, consider how quickly audience has shifted towards short form video platforms. It's not just about being present, it's about making sure we engage on the platforms our audience uses most. If we keep an eye on trends and adjust our approach, we can stay relevant and maintain that vital connection with our audience. The rise of platforms like TikTok demonstrates how quickly audience move towards new media. Brands that recognized this early found massive success, while those that hesitated struggled to keep up. Consider that some traditional news organizations shifted early to produce short, engaging clips on social media, like the Washington Post created TikTok content, while others rely solely on print and broadcast, losing relevance among younger audience. Regularly monitor emerging media channels and trends. Experiment with fresh content formats and platform features. For example, test short form videos or interactive stories to engage younger demographics. Staying flexible and open to innovation ensures your message remains visible and compelling, regardless of shifting media landscape. Now that we discussed how to stay relevant, let's look at how you can measure the success of your new media strategy. How do you know if your new media approach is working? It all comes down to having the right matrix in place. If you're not tracking the performance of your content, things like how many people are engaging, sharing, or responding to it it's hard to tell if you're making an impact. The key is to define those matrix early on. For example, you might look at the number of views on a video, the comments it generates, or even the sentimental of those comments. Once you have that data, you can see what's working, what's not, and adjust your strategy to get better results. When a consumer goods brand partner with micro influencers to promote a new product line, they have no method to measure success. Once they implemented a robust analytics framework, they saw which content sparked the most shares and purchases, helping them refine their approach. A well-known beverage company uses a mix of click-through rate, social sentiment, and customer feedback surveys to measure the impact of influencers campaigns. By tracking these metrics, they can see exactly how the campaigns increase brand visibility and drive sales. How can you use a blend of quantitative and qualitative metrics? Set up tools like Google Analytics, social media insights, and sentiment analysis software. Review these metrics regularly to understand what resonates with your audience and what doesn't. Combining data analysis with a commitment to continuous improvement ensures that your media strategies are practical and aligned with your brand goals. Now let's explore how to navigate potential pitfalls that can arise in this ever-changing media landscape. What are the challenges of integrating new media into your marketing? And now, how can you overcome them? With new media isn't just about jumping onto the latest platform. It's about doing so thoughtfully and strategically. For instance, one common pitfall is the potential for misinformation. Our message can lose credibility if we're not careful about the sources we rely on or the influences we partner with. Another issue is staying relevant. New media moves fast. Losing your audience trust is easy if you don't maintain a clear, steady voice. Think about how some brands have faced backlash for poorly vetted influencer campaigns. An influencer might have a large following, but if their values don't align with your brand, you risk alienating your audience. To navigate these pitfalls, you need a solid vetting process. Carefully research influencers and media sources, set clear communication guidelines, and have a plan to address any unexpected issues. If a campaign receives criticism, be transparent, acknowledge any mistakes, and show how you're making improvement. This proactive approach helps to maintain trust and keep your message authentic and credible. How have every stylish girl harnessed new media to amplify her reach and impact? Nana noticed that mainstream media often underrepresented black and brown women in fashion. Instead of waiting for the industry to catch up, she created a digital space where these voices could shine. She started with Instagram, allowing her to connect directly with her audience. Over time, she expanded her reach by hosting the Sip and Slide Summit. This event brought together thousands of attendees, celebrated Black owned businesses, and featured influential speakers, all amplified by new media platforms. This approach shows how new media can turn a small, focused mission into a movement. She transformed a niche idea into a recognized brand by creating a consistent online presence, engaging her community, and building an event that resonated deeply with her audience. We can apply the same principles by identifying our unique audience segments and crafting tailored content. By leveraging social platforms and hosting targeted events, we can create a sense of belonging and loyalty within our audience. It's not just about broadcasting and messaging. It's about building a community that feels heard and valued. Now, let's talk about implementing new media strategies in your marketing and how you can integrate new media strategies to elevate your brand's presence. Relying solely on traditional marketing methods can limit your reach. In today's fast paced digital environment, businesses must adapt to new media platforms or risk losing connection with their audience. Earlier, we discussed how the White House used influencers and YouTubers to reach younger demographics. By embracing these non traditional channels, they successfully extended their reach and engaged with communities that traditional outlets often overlook. Consider a small beauty brand that partnered with a well known TikTok influencer. The collaboration brought their product to the attention of thousands of potential customers in just days, an audience they never would have reached with traditional print or TV advertising. To implement these strategies, first, identify the platforms your target audience use most. Then develop authentic content that aligns with your brand values. Work with influencers who resonate with your mission to co-create materials that speak to your audience. Once your campaigns are live, track engagement metrics like shares, comments, and conversions to measure their impact. Finally, be ready to adapt and refine your approach based on these insights. Will you be ready to change your marketing approach by embracing new media? Studying successful examples such as the White House innovative strategies and brands like Every Stylish Girl can help us see the benefits of adapting new media. Success in today's marketing landscape depends on being open to change and exploring new avenues. Embrace new media today to secure your brand success tomorrow. As we always say, you don't have to know how to sell, but you do have to know how to market. If you found this discussion valuable, subscribe to the podcast, follow us on our audio platform, rate us, like this, hit the like button, comment, and leave a review. Also, if you have any business or marketing questions, let me know and I may address them in a future episode. Share this episode with someone who could benefit. And until next time, see you next week on Marketing Monday. And you already know what's coming next. Deuces. Peace.
How to start a podcast in 2025 that doesn't just fade away, but becomes a sustainable and scalable business. Are you excited about starting a podcast this year, but feel completely overwhelmed by where to begin? Maybe you've asked yourself, what mic do I use? How do I structure my episodes? And how can I turn this into something sustainable that actually generates income? I've been there. The excitement, the passion, but also the frustration of not knowing how to set up the proper foundation. That's precisely why I created the 6-month mentorship bootcamp. Turn your idea into a sustainable and scalable business from scratch. This isn't just about starting a podcast, it's about building a business ecosystem around it, where every episode adds value, every strategy serves a purpose, and every step moves you toward long term growth. Before joining this boot camp, you might feel confused and overwhelmed. Afterward, you'll feel confident and equipped. Here's how it works. 1. Join the boot camp. Get step-by-step guidance from idea to execution. Implement proven strategies. Build structure. Monetize smartly and position your podcast for growth. 3. Launch and grow. Watch your podcast transform into a thriving business that serves your audience and generates revenue. So let me ask you, are you ready to stop guessing and start building? Click the link in the description to join the 6-month mentorship bootcamp today. Imagine where your podcast could be a year from now, reaching the right audience, building impact, and growing into a thriving business. But every success story begins with a single step. Take that step today, and let's turn your vision into reality. That's what success looks like. Click the link in the description to join the boot camp now. Your podcast deserves more than a start, it deserves a foundation for growth. I'll see you inside the boot camp. Peace.